It's a 1am start in Dunedin for this month's Trevor Test as we meet up with Lindsay Wright in his new ride, the Dynes Transport Kenworth T610. This is one of the first of Kenworth's new conventional models to hit New Zealand roads. In cab and chassis form, it was on show at the Southpack stand at the Expo in March and has now been set up with patchel tanks and a 5-axle patchel trailer. The tanks are empty and we're off to Fonterra's Sterling cheese production facility near Balclutha for a load of retentate byproduct that's destined for further processing at Clandeboy near Temuka. On the way down, Lindsay fills us in on his limited experience of the truck, but so far he's pretty happy with how it's shaping up, but adds that it could do with a bit more torque. Once we're fully loaded at Sterling, Trevor takes the wheel for the run back to Dunedin. The first challenge comes almost as soon as we leave the dairy factory in the shape of a compulsory stop at the bottom of the climb out of town. It's a good first up test for the combination of the 615 horsepower Cummins X15 and the Eaton UltraShift Plus AMT. These two are bundled together by the new Cummins Adept electronics, which allows the engine and transmission to better communicate. As we take off, the transmission picks up a couple of quick gears, but as the climb steepens, it holds on to the next gear and lets the revs climb up closer to the 1800 RPM mark before taking another gear. It's obviously allowing for the steep gradient, and it takes the next gear easily and continues to climb up the box as we make our way out of town. First impressions of the T610 Kenworth obviously centre on its all-new wider cab, making the model feel very different from its bonneted predecessors. There's a good amount of space between the seats, with a handy storage box with a lift-up lid, and in front of that opens two boxes big enough for a full-size water bottle, plus cleaning gear and other oddments. The driver's seat is a top-end Isri that's easy to adjust and gives great support. There's plenty of fore and aft adjustment, and plenty of room for the driver to stretch legs, with only two pedals in the footwell. As we head to the top of the hill out of Sterling and onto the SH1, Trevor's impressed with the headlights. On full, they throw a bright, wide beam, while the pattern on dip still shows a good spread of the road. The side mirrors are very nicely positioned on strong, very stable mounts, which means no mirror shake. They're also set low and avoid blind spots, as you can easily look over the top of them. As we head out onto SH1, we're running along the top of a ridge line which the road follows with a series of rolling climbs and dips. At our 90k cruise controlled speed, this allows another feature of the engine and gearbox combination to come into play. The coast mode disconnects the gear drive and drops the engine revs to idle until there's a need for throttle for an uphill or to maintain speed. As we drop off the ridge line, we get to see the engine brake in action, and it controls our descent nicely. The engine downshifts a couple of gears as Trevor reduces speed ahead of the drop, and then we leave it up to the engine and gearbox combination, which does the rest easily without the need to touch the brake. We hit our first major climb as we head up out of Mosgiel towards Dunedin, and the transmission starts to drop gears. However, as we get into the harder part of the climb, it tries to hold a gear too high, which leads to a drop in revs, and then a quick drop down several gears to catch it up, followed by a steady picking up of single gears back up to the optimum climbing ratio. It repeats this on the second major climb into Dunedin. Cummins NZ has since told us that the system can be reprogrammed to counter this. A bit of engine noise coming up through the cab, and it's a deep rumble that suggests it's come from the exhaust system, which has a wide junction leading to low-level outlets on both sides of the truck. We wonder if the rumble comes from the Y in the pipes, creating some vibration. Though the test truck produces a peak 615 horsepower, its torque isn't as comparable. Even so, its Adept and UltraShift Plus technology allows it to bat well above its weight in performance. All around, it's a very nice truck to drive, and Lindsay is certainly looking forward to getting to know it better. He does raise the question of a bit more torque, but says he'll wait and see how it performs once the engine beds in. It's already doing what his previous T909 was doing on many of the hills he encounters.